CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. All right, welcome back to CMMS Radio. This is a special production of AOM in Action, Asset Operations Management in Action. And we're joined by two guests. One of those is Vivek Chintaboyina and Bob Keeley. And we're going to get into ITXH. That is IT Experts Hub. And what we're really talking about here is not just technology, but the technology is designed for those of you that are out there working on, striving towards better asset operations management. You might be using Hexagon EAM or a plethora, myriad other systems out there where they can help you to get dialed in with not only the data that you're taking in, how you're taking that data in, but get you in a good position for better decision making so that you can start to move towards continuous improvement. And I think there's some AI in there, which we're going to get into. But Vivek and Bob, welcome to CMMS Radio.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Thanks for the intro.
Yeah. And so first, I want to start with you, Vivek. You've been in this space and kind of around the game when it comes to technology, solutioning, 26 plus years. And you've done a lot of, in-person presentations. You've been in all these different environments. I want to just start right off with how you decided to found and launch ITXH.
It's been my passion, Greg, since a long time that I wanted to do something innovative, right? Of course, everybody has the idea or passion to do the innovative solutions. The only challenge is you have the right opportunity. So I got the right opportunity at the right time, and then I grabbed on it and then started developing, because my passion is enterprise asset management. In the recent past, since 15 plus years, I've been involved in enterprise asset management solutions, either implementing Hexagon EAM or extending Hexagon EAM to incorporate more solutions for the customers. So that's how the idea came. And then we said, okay, why IT Experts Hub? Why not anything oriented to EAM? The idea of IT Experts Hub is like, we are not just into the EAMs. Yes, we contribute and going to contribute many, many innovative solutions to the entire industry involving IT solutions. That's where we said IT Experts Hub rather than very EAM centric.
That's and what's good about that for me, when I look at it and I take a step back and I try to go big picture, because I'm trying to be all about the industry as often as I can. I want to be agnostic, but there's so many different systems that create multiple data points, and we all talk about the idea of breaking down silos. How do we get information to start to play nice together to, again, get back to that original concept of better decision making? It certainly involves stronger and sooner anomaly detection. We want that to be accurate, and on like that. I want to switch it over to you, Bob. Now, Bob, you and I had the pleasure of meeting earlier this year. That was when we were at the Streamline Conferences event down in Greenville, South Carolina, which was, for me, really fun. We got to talk there. Then we saw each other again at Hexagon Live. And now you're here working with Vivek and the team. I wanted to get some kind of color around your background in the industry, because you've been in enterprise asset management for quite some time.
Yeah, I've been in the software game for probably as long as Vivek's been in it as well. We're both veterans of Infor. We both moved over to working with Hexagon when that change happened. We'll both be involved in Active since that's coming next year. I've been in the software game for more than I could think of. Started as a consultant, then project manager, been in various kind of roles other than just washing windows for those software companies. But I love it. I'm that guy that connects the dots and helps to make sure that we're not just developing software for the sake of software, but we're developing software and selling software that really resonates, really helps those in the field do what they need to do. It's not just about giving them a place to store data. It's about unlocking that data.
Right, right. And, when we talk about that, I think I prefer just natural conversations, but we had to have some meetings just so I could get a better understanding of who you really serve out there. So I'm going to switch it back over to Vivek when it comes to the maintenance managers. They're struggling with unplanned downtime. They don't have enough information when it comes to condition monitoring. It's tough for them to be in all the different places. We've got shortages of people now, so we get people leaving, and we want other ways to kind of augment or supplement those gaps when our machine whisperers go away. But there's other things that come into what you do with IT Experts Hub. Can you talk a little bit more about the very specific people within the organization, manufacturing or otherwise, that you're really seeking to serve, the ones you want to understand and actually help?
Absolutely. One of the main points is whenever I go to the customers, right? So let me step back. When I talk about the industry, everybody talks about, oh, data is important. Absolutely. I'm not going to argue about it. There's no doubt data is important. And expertise, right? And then expertise is there with the customers, right? Now, what is the biggest challenge here is when I go to the maintenance manager or reliability engineer or even the IT director or executive, you have the data, you have the expertise. We are not, we're trying to solve a problem on how you use the data. And then it runs like year-long projects, multi-year projects. That's when we step back. We said, okay, let's take a different approach at it, right? Why can't we make a solution that is reusable with every customer? Yes, we are integrated with a product, but it can run on its own. So let's try to build a reusable solution where it can add value. It unlocks, and as Bob mentioned, right, unlocking the data, right? Now, when we run a project, we try to understand, okay, what data we have, what kind of failure codes we have, what kind of failure modes, what kind of IoT data that we have. And we try to understand and then try to devise a solution to force users. Now, biggest challenge is no, never ever force our experts, the technical folks. What we need to do is we need to augment our technical with our technical solution those users with all the information right in front of their eyes where they don't need to analyze, right? Give a summary of what exactly happened over the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, right? That's where we jumped in. So we started building equipment analysis, and then we started building store analysis, part analysis. Then we step back. So it's going to be in some organizations, thousands and thousands of equipment. Why would someone go and then look at an equipment unless they're working on that equipment? How do we give more information? And that's where we started building something called high risk assets, right? What it does is it goes and analyzes within the particular organization or a department or a whole organization within a date range. It goes, analyzes all the information that is available, but the work that you performed in the past for all the equipment, and then identifies those equipments where the failure may be close enough, like in a week or in a month, right? And it highlights those. And especially it also highlights critical equipment, critical equipment where there was a downtime recorded in the past. There's potential that if a failure occurs, there's a potential downtime.
So when it is doing that, it's looking at that historical data, that past, as a prelude to, based on what we've seen in the past, we think this is about to happen. So you get that big clue that you might want to go take a look at this right now because we've got good, strong indicators. However, what really happens when someone doesn't have technology to augment that is they're probably going to be late to the game. They may not even have an awareness of it. So I want to switch it back over to you, Bob. One of the things that we all end up talking about, whether we're at a conference, on a phone call, on a meeting, whether we're talking positive, negative, anywhere in between, is these concepts around asset hierarchies, determining actual risk, and then kind of basing the way our teams move from a maintenance perspective on those standardizations. Is that a good way to put it? And is that what you do? And I'm going to make this complicated. Do you typically bring your technology into existing environments where there's a high level of maintenance maturity, or even the technology that goes along with maintenance?
Very good question. And, our primary product, our core product, is the AMI suite, Asset Management Insights. And it's a suite of products, as Vivek was saying, that helps to pull data from their already existing EAM database. And I like how you mentioned hierarchies and characteristics and attributes, because this is not just putting a tech layer on top of a solution for the sake of putting a tech layer on top of a solution. The whole idea is that this is quick to deploy, easy to understand, low learning curve, so that those people who need the information can really access it quickly and be able to benefit from it. I mean, that's really the key. And when it comes to asset hierarchies, when it comes to the characteristics and the attributes that really drives a good failure analysis, a good mean time type of KPIs, the real metrics that they need, that hopefully is already in their CMMS or their EAM. And we don't want to change that. But one of the beauties of AMI is that it also helps to identify the holes. It helps to identify where additional condition monitoring might be needed to get them out of that break fix reactive mode that's eating up their maintenance budget.
Yeah.
It may be that the use of Smart Scheduler to help better planning and better visibility of where resources should be working, what work orders should be assigned to what shifts, what crews, what locations, etc. All that can be something that allows for better efficiency. And obviously, it's also about, downtime and uptime. No maintenance manager ever wants to hear themselves being criticized about creating downtime. And if we can help them with the trend analysis, with AI insights, AI generated insights that helps them to understand when that equipment's going to come down, when that failure is going to return. I mean, when we say unlocking the data, it's the data from their own history. And often they don't have, a technician doesn't have time to read through 12 months of work orders. But if AMI can deliver a summary to them of that 12 months of work orders and say, here's what's going to go down, and here's what you're going to need to fix, and here's the parts and supplies you're going to need, it all helps with minimizing that downtime, keeping production running. And that's why we talk about asset operations management, because a good EAM or CMMS, we all know, will maintain those work orders and help the maintenance team, do the right stuff. But how does it help production? How does it help operations? How are your assets feeding, operational excellence? That's where AOM, fed by AMI, really comes into play.
Well, and the reason I had asked the question the way that I did is I think both of you and a lot of other people know that I want to always be extremely mindful of, it's not about products, it's not about features, it's always about people and process. And when I ask those questions about the maintenance maturity, or maybe the technological or technology maturity, is this idea that we need teams that are behaving in the right way, and then we can leverage technology to further give them, insights that allow them to be even better, or at a minimum maintain what they're already capable of. So I don't want people thinking that this is all about a wild product pitch. It's more about this concept that when we have the right things in place, we have maybe a CMMS or an EAM or an APM solution that is working well. You've got strong adoption. Frontline is putting in good, solid, standardized information. You've got a strong asset hierarchy that's accurate. Now you can start to leverage these kinds of tools with some healthy skepticism, right? Let's not just believe it. Let's make sure on occasion that the AI triggers and indicators from that large language model, or do we say large language model or large language learning model? Nonetheless,
LLM.
The LLM is feeding us this information based on what we've already got, but we don't want to just let it run amok. I want to switch it back over to you, Vivek. When it comes to this idea of AI, there's some really good things that can come from it. It can do some really powerful, important things. However, for me, and I think a lot of folks out there, there's this general concern about where does it get its information? How does it learn? And how do we keep it in its lane so it's not making things up, these concepts of drift or hallucinations? What would you have to say about that, not just with your product, but generally speaking?
So when we started this AI journey, right, and then we started creating our own AI ML framework, not that we are building our own LLM. So I wouldn't say that, right? So that's a huge task, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So we have something that is already there. How do we utilize it properly? Just like we are using the data for the customers, right? So we looked at different angles. What is the best way of doing it? Reducing the launch timeline for the customer, because each customer data is specific, very specific. So we analyzed, and then we did a lot of prompt engineering and a lot of parameter settings for the AI,
Mm-hmm.
right, that we are using, so that there is no illusion, right? Put the boundaries in place, right? Put the boundaries in place and make sure it doesn't throw anything that you want, right? And we even tested with, we have AI chat, right, with the data. As part of AMI,
Mm-hmm.
users can question about what is the status of this equipment, how many work orders this equipment had. But then, as part of that chat testing itself, we threw some very unusual comments. What is the capital of United Kingdom? Right? What is about Texas? Right? We need to put the boundaries, right? What exactly we are asking. We don't want to open a can of worms.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we do a lot of control in our AML framework, in controlling the context, setting the context, controlling the context, and then the response format, right? What exactly we want as part of the response, not anything that AI can just throw out, right? It is not a Gen AI, it is a controlled AI. That's
Good.
what we struggled. We struggled for almost 6 months to control it.
So I want to kind of, when it comes to like overall industry, a lot of people say manufacturing, production, utilities, and all this, and some of those get really, really general. And I think one of the examples I wanted to ask about was because we've talked about this a bit before, in oil and gas. So there's two things. So I think I want to ask this to Bob, but it might be for you, Vivek, and that is around what kind of information you're getting back from clients in that particular sector when it comes to their lift, when we talk about uptime, and also when it comes to what kind of pure downtime reduction they're experiencing and what that really means for that type of a client when it comes to value.
When it comes to the values, their work is like huge number of equipment, very critical equipment that are running in their plants now, whether we talk about offshore or whether we talk about onshore,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it has direct impact on the production. Any downtime would cause a production loss, meaning a revenue loss. So, and the approach that we are providing using AMI is, we are not telling what to do, right? We are telling what you did in the past, because sometimes there's hundreds of workers, 15 years worth of work order history. You did a lot of work in the past and then you don't know what to do, right? Our goal is look into that and then give you all the information right then and there itself without leaving the screen, right? When a particular failure happens, or what exactly is happening with this equipment, and then what is recommended, where are the holes, right? Are there any preventive maintenance work orders that are getting overdue, right? It also highlights, and it also reads into the actual closing comments about what exactly was performed and then what should be taken care of. It analyzes all of that and then provides you a summary view of the failure information, the approach, the observations, the work order schedule mismatches, even including the recommendations. along with the reliability insight, like how reliable this particular equipment is, right? That
Mhm.
even that it calculates and then gives you, and all this happens in less than a minute or maybe around a minute, 1 minute, right? It is analyzing everything in different angles about the failures, about the schedule, about the comments, about the work performed, where the equipment was. Everything is analyzed and then given to you with a summary, detailed summary, in about a minute. That can never happen. So, and what is the benefit of providing that kind of insight, right? Somebody don't need to go through all these work orders, what kind of work I
Mhm.
performed and everything, right? It commonalizes, give you what is the common activities that you're performing, where exactly you're failing, what you should take care of, everything, and then you're getting into the actual part of maintenance, what exactly you should do, rather than analyzing and then taking decisions later, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
we're
that's the benefit of it. And then how it is impacting the maintenance team, it probably reduces. I'm not saying, I'm not going to claim big numbers like 50% or 60%. So I think it has a direct impact of 10 to 15% right out of the gate when you start using it, right? Then we slowly improve it, we optimize it, and then it will give you more and more benefits as you start using it. So it is like a crawl walk run, because you need to adjust to what it is giving, understand and what kind of process changes that you want to make, what kind of maintenance management changes that you want to make, right? All of that you can apply. Can we get those kind of insights from AMI? Certainly, right? But in future, absolutely, we're going to provide those kind of things too. Where exactly? But we don't want our end users, the field people, to be upset about what we are recommending. Right? We want to make sure that we value their experience, their expertise. But what we are providing is we slowly enhance based on the information that we get. We give them exactly what they want, and we can fine tune it for their needs.
Yeah, it's
well,
Vivek spot on, Greg. And just to translate that for you, what it meant for that midstream gas plant, they reduced downtime by 12 hours a month. Now, you think about that, 12 hours, 12 is not a big number. But when you know with any gas or oil and gas type of operation, a minute is a huge amount of revenue lost. 12 hours could be quite a big number when you translate that 12 to dollars.
absolutely. That's well, and when I think about it, and when Vivek was talking about, say for example, the front line, those folks that are out there doing all the work that we really need done, otherwise none of this really happens. They want to be effective, but they don't have to. I'm going to use the word suffer. They don't have to suffer what this solution is doing to the data. They're already providing their inputs through the EAM or the CMMS. So that's its own thing. And with the right kind of standardization there, the way they actually embrace those technologies, you're then in pulling that and then reworking it. And if you can directly tie things like a 12 hours of downtime reduction over a given month in oil and gas, that's probably a really big number, because even in other environments that aren't the same, we start to see that minute or hour by hour dollar amount that a downtime events really cost. It can be tremendous. And I don't want to make anything up, because I'm not an expert on that stuff. And the numbers are different environment by environment. Even if you had two different oil and gas environments, there's going to be variance. Depends what state they're in. It depends who they serve as a market. All that kind of stuff plays. But I want to switch now to something. This is going to be kind of a unique experience, maybe for both of you. So, everyone that's on CMMS radio, no matter what kind of a project we're working on together, you have to suffer through what we call the fun question segment. And I'd like to, if both of you gentlemen are game, ask you those questions. All right, all right. So, no wrong answers here. Just say what comes to mind. And really, this is just to have a little bit of fun. So, first for Vivek, what is your favorite music?
Country music.
All right. Now I'm going to kick that over to you, Bob. What's your favorite music?
I actually listen to country Christian music.
All right. We're getting specific there. Back to Vivek. Question number 2 is, what is your favorite sport or hobby? And on sport, it doesn't have to be one you play. It can be one that you like to root for and cheer on.
Cricket.
All right. Cricket. That's a good one. Bob, what's your favorite sport or hobby?
I'm basketball and soccer, or if you're going to be over the pond, then it's football. But big soccer fan.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now I'm going to keep it with you, Bob, on this one. This is the big one. What is your perspective, philosophy, opinion? Is it even a thing when it comes to this concept of work-life balance?
Ooh, I could talk forever on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I've made job changes based on work-life balance. It's about health. It's about happiness. It's about making sure that you have the ability to get through the day, do what you love doing, be productive, but at the end of the day, leave it at the desk. Don't take it with you. Don't bring it to the family. That's where that balance comes into play.
All right. Fair enough. Now, Vivek, it's the same question for you. Your opinion, philosophy, is it even a thing? Work-life balance. Like, how do you approach it? What do you think of that?
So from my perspective personally, I don't manage work-life balance because the best thoughts, the best innovative ideas that I get is when I am just on myself, not at my desk, walking around or probably sitting around, just sipping around, right? So even then I'm working. But is
Mm.
it stressful to me? No. As long as it is not stressing someone else out, right? And you have a flexibility to work uh, remotely to some extent. I'm not going to question anybody. I'm not commenting any company here, but that flexibility will give you peace of mind, and
Mm-hmm.
then it will actually enable you to throw out ideas or to come up with more innovation and deliver that passionate solutions, right? So for me, I don't really balance my work and life, and some has probably a different opinion on it, and I'm not disagreeing with them. But personally, whatever you feel comfortable, as long as you're enabled to do so, right? Do
I
that, and then don't carry stress. Life will go on. It doesn't matter what happens, right? Something else will go on, somebody else will do it, but it's okay, right? If this is not the opportunity, the next opportunity will knock your door, or maybe this is what you need to take care of. So just be stress free. Whatever you do, that will balance your life, your work, everything.
I'll give you an example, Greg.
Yeah.
Vivek was in San Antonio earlier this week, to make sure that his son made it to his school event
Uh-huh.
and be able to, attend that event. But I guarantee you, Vivek was sitting there doing some work on whatever device of his choice, thinking about work at the same time. He's Mr. 24/7.
Yeah, and everything changed for a lot of us over the last couple of decades, and it's fun to have these questions that are a little bit less about business, but then we bring it back to the like work-life balance thing.
Oh yeah.
It's not about being right; it's about kind of sharing a piece of your own perspective that someone might agree with, they might not. It might get them thinking. That's what this is all about. Now, for everybody, if they want to get in touch with either of you, I would encourage them to reach out on LinkedIn if they want to start a conversation. And if they want to learn more about either, Bob was talking about specifically about AMI Suite, but there's a multitude of products that they offer. And again, it's IT Experts Hub, and you can find them online. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here with me on CMMS Radio for
Thank
your
you,
first
Greg.
ever episode. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, Greg.
Okay.
Thanks for the time.
Always. Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.